everybody, welcome to the energy update for April 3rd, 2017. I hope you're all doing well out there. I've had several of you come up to me on the street in the last couple of weeks and say hi, and literally the second thing out of your mouths after you've said hi to me is, wow, things are really intense right now. And so for any of you in that wave, under that wave right now, I hear you, I feel you, we get it, we're not alone. There is definitely an undercurrent that will keep bringing us back into perhaps our deepest, darkest stuff at times before we spring back out into a new, expanded version of reality, because the reality that we grew up with and we knew is fast changing outside of us. So the journey inside has to be exactly the same. The mirror effect takes place. What's going on outside affects what's going on inside. So a lot of people, sensitives, light workers, soul-led people, awake people, conscious people have definitely been reporting what I would call mini dark nights of the soul recently. So I normally take a breath with all of you before we get started, but it felt important to acknowledge that so that we can take a breath together, inhale the breath of life, and exhale some of that intensity or a heavy energy that has either been experienced in you or you've been experiencing or witnessing in other people around you. So let's take in a few breaths and let go with the exhales some of the energy that we don't need right now. So, and exhale out that which you've been carrying or feeling. Perhaps you've been carrying it for others around you or seeing it in others. So a good breath in for yourself. And exhale that which you don't need to hold anymore. And one more. And exhale that which you don't need to hold anymore. Daily practice, repetition, these are the things that tend to change our patterns. The crisis that we can often go into when we're in those lower states where it can feel uncomfortable, there can be judgment thoughts toward yourself, there can be shame, there can be all sorts of feelings like, this is going wrong, why am I feeling this down, why is this happening to me? In my experience, it's part of the spiritual progression path. You can't actually avoid it if you're a feeling sensitive being. So as you are changing who you are, and as the planet externally is changing and asking us to change internally as well as externally, you can't help but get in touch with some of those core emotions. Anger has been a big theme recently. I spoke in the last energy update of conflict energy and peace energy and how they would be playing off against each other. When I looked ahead into the month of April, a couple of things were shown to me. Number one, that this will be a fiery month on the world stage, that we can expect to see certain fire popping up in events, interactions. So that can happen globally and it can happen locally. And so anger is the driving force with this. And it's interesting because anger and sadness are very closely linked. Usually anger has sadness and grief underneath it. So anger can be a defensive reaction. Sometimes it's just a flush, it's a boundary, but anger can often be a defensive reaction and can be covering up the sadness and the grief we feel underneath. So if you're just not somebody who identifies with anger very much, it wouldn't be surprising to me if you were to experience a certain sadness and grief at the moment as part of what you're feeling connected to that fire out there. It's going to be strong. The other thing that comes up for me is this is going to be a month for people who have traditionally been the overgivers, who have traditionally been the people who bring love, light to everybody else, but haven't really been assessing how well that's going or how well you're being treated in return. What I mean by this is, if you're a love and light person, if you feel your mission is to put love and light into the world, then don't be surprised if at the moment you're having some really strong experiences around people rejecting you, doors slamming in your face, avenues you thought were supposed to work not working. It's because you're at a period where you need to learn about discernment. I remember many years ago channeling my guides, and they were talking about how to really open up more in love, you need to learn boundaries. And that felt counterintuitive to me at the time. Of course, now I fully understand that if you don't have a boundary around the energy field that you have, then it means that anybody who wants some of what you've got, whatever their intentions, can just move in and take. There are certain people who walk into a room and they light it up. And this is a great quality, unless there are lots of hungry people in that room who all want that energy from you, without understanding that by being around you, they can have an experience of feeling that frequency and learning to bring it through themselves. But when somebody's hungry, they just want to eat. They don't necessarily think, oh, I shouldn't have too much of that because that person is going to run out of energy or life force at some point. And you can't blame them when somebody is desperate for an energy that they haven't figured out how to get themselves. That's what they're going to do. So discernment and boundaries this month will be a core lesson for those of you who are light workers, who like to be the love and light brigade, you know, who like to come into a room and light it up, who like to give your good energy to the world. There is a really core lesson going on around that right now, which in fact might look like you're being asked to give less or pull back or withdraw in the now, but ultimately is you strengthening the amount of energy that you have for the future, so that in the future you can actually give in wise ways to the areas that really are important, not just for the people who are receiving, but for you and your growth, because every light worker has a mission. Some people are here to help light people up through music. Some people are here to be a parent, and that's the way that they're going to give of their love. But within each of our unique missions, we go through these experiences where we get to level up in strength, and usually it hurts when we're going through the beginning of a level up. That's just part of the human growth experience. First of all, you encounter all of those emotions in you that have been abandoned while you were the love and light brigade. So for example, you've been giving your energy out for years and years and years, and suddenly you get to a point where the universe goes, okay, now we're going to teach you how to identify where and when and how much. At first, you might go into grief that your needs haven't been met all this time because you weren't looking after them, or sadness about the times you've been betrayed by people when you've been in that mode and they haven't necessarily looked after you, they've just drained you. So you'll hit those emotions, but then as you move through those emotions, they come up, they release, and you start a whole new pattern of being. Because this is the great repatterning what we're in right now. We really, on an external and an internal level, repatterning is just cranking through all of us in a really big way. So daily repetitive action becomes what we need to lean into at times where we feel less stable, a little more emotionally raw. What are the things that light you up? What are the new things that you could do today that are going to put you into your center, especially when the centers of so many people around us are also in spin and in flux? So, final message, you know, and this is something I've said a lot the last few months, but it's banging me in the head right now. There's so much energy up here for us. There is so much higher energy, there is so much guidance, and it's not separate. We're part of this continuum of energy, and one of the misbeliefs that we've had as spiritual beings for generations is this idea that higher energy, lower energy are two separate things. It's a continuum, and what we're learning to do is to feel the continuum more. So many of you will be having psychic, channeled, intuitive experiences like never before. There's an all-time high going on around that. So use it. Use it for your life, use it for fun, use it to create, enjoy it, and recognize it can just be a part of everyday normal life. So, great to be with all of you for this update. One last thing is my camera keeps stopping. So I've had a bit of that going on recently, and I'm sure I'm not the only one, because I've heard from a couple of other people that, yeah, there's a kind of stop-start energy at the moment. The flow gets stopped quite regularly at the moment. That's just kind of going on. But yeah, great to be with you all this month. And we have energy mastery coming up. If you are watching this before April 13th, there is still time to come to Toronto Energy Mastery. Usually these events sell out. We actually have a few places left for Toronto Energy Mastery. So if you want to be in a unique energy container for 3 days that is designed to accelerate your transformation with sound healing, with movement, and with me working very closely with the 32 of you, that is the maximum amount we have, please come to Energy Mastery Toronto. If you can't make that one, we have one in Los Angeles in June and one in Norway in June. And this month in the Portal, my members club, where we have a monthly Q&A every month, and every month a brand new MP3 recording, you can still get the Abundance Connection. There'll be a new MP3 coming in a week or so, but right now you can get the Abundance Connection, which we'll play a preview of at the end of this video. So big love all of you, take care, speak soon. So as you let this abundance energy move through your body and consider what it is to you, see the faces of the people in your life who you know would greatly support you growing and becoming something, someone else other than they know right now. Let yourself see those faces. Some of them may surprise you. All who walk the earth, remember all who walk the earth, remember all who walk the earth, remember this brings peace, brings relief.